back to Passport to Flavor with me, Chef Ripley. Today, it's almost Valentine's Day, so we are going to make a special little treat for your loved one. Maybe you forgot about it completely, and this is a great last-minute recipe to make, and no one's going to know. So what we are making is baked Alaska. Now, you may have heard of this before, but it's kind of an old dessert. Not a lot of people make it anymore unless you're on a cruise ship. But essentially what it is it's ice cream with some sort of cake surrounded by a meringue that you then light on fire. We're not going to be lighting on fire today. We're going to be baking it because, you know, safer. And today we're going to be using brownies instead of cake because chocolate and vanilla I just think goes great together. We're going to be making a mini version of it so everybody can have their own individual. So what I have here is a muffin tin that I've lined with plastic wrap. So I've made sure that there's wells in each area. This is just going to help when it's frozen for us to be able to remove it and not have it kind of get stuck in there because you never want to end up in that situation. So what I have is some vanilla ice cream that I've let kind of soften a little bit because we want it to be easily molded into the bottom of this. So softened ice cream is going to work better. And we're just going to take it and we're going to scoop a little bit into the bottom, not going all the way to the top, but going about 3/4 of the way. This is going to be the base of the baked Alaska. And if it's somewhat melted, don't worry, we're going to freeze this, so it's okay. It'll all come together. We just want to push it down to the bottom of this pan. Any flavor of ice cream works. Whatever your loved one's favorites are, works great with this. And then the next step is the cake. You can use any form of cake that you like. Like I said, today we're going to be using brownies. What I've went ahead and did, and I've already cut them into discs. They're about 1/4 inch thick and about the size of the top of the muffin tin. That's all we're looking for. All we're going to do for this, very simple, is just lay this on top of each of them. If you want to, this is a great way to use scraps as well. If you have a bunch of leftover random, like mismatched pieces, you can kind of just smash it together. No one's going to know what it looks like because it's going to be on the bottom surrounded by meringue. So no one's going to see it. So you can always do that. If you have a bunch of scraps of leftover cake from something you made earlier, this is a great way to use that. So we're just putting these on top. Then the next step is to freeze this. Because we're putting this in a 500-degree oven down the line, we need these to be super frozen. So as they're baking with the meringue and getting that nice brown on the outside, they're not going to start to have the ice cream melt on the inside. So once this is ready, we're just going to pop it into the freezer for about an hour. And after that, we'll move on to making the meringue. So with these baked Alaskas, the next key part is the meringue. This is the thing that's going to go on top and kind of act like the marshmallow is going to crisp up. If you don't know what meringue is, it's made with egg whites, cream of tartar, and sugar. It seems like something complicated to make. It's not that complicated. It just takes a lot of time. So the first thing we need to do is separate the egg whites from the egg yolks. Easiest way for me to do this is I just crack it into a bowl and scoop it out. That way I don't have to worry about any eggs, shells getting in there because that's always an issue with people. But you can just go back and forth between your... Another key thing, always crack your eggs on a flat surface. If you're cracking them on the side of something, the shell can go in and then it's more likely to break the yolk. So we're just going to open this up, go back and forth between. I always make sure I do each egg in a separate bowl, and that's something I always tell my students to do. But it's not something they always listen to me on, because if we make a mistake with one, that's fine. If we make a mistake and there's already another one in there, we just wasted another egg. So we have one egg white here. We'll do that one more time. Go back and forth. And I think this one is breaking. Oh, it's not. Okay. So go back and forth, get all the egg white in. And then you can save these yolks, great. I don't have any other purpose for them today, so I'm just going to put them in the trash, but try to limit your waste. So we have the egg whites ready to go. Now it's time to mix them. This is just something that takes a lot of time. We're going to take this stand mixer here. Let me bring it over closer. So I have a stand mixer here. You could do this by hand, but you're just putting yourself up for a lot of punishment. So I'm going to take the 2 egg whites, drop those into the bottom of the stand mixer. And to that, I'm going to add 1/8 of a teaspoon of cream of tartar. If you don't know what cream of tartar is, it's this product from wine making that makes, it's like a tangy thing. It adds acid to dishes. It's like a powdered acid. This is going to interact with the egg whites and make them fluffy. Once they're to an almost fully fluffy state, a soft peak, we're going to add the sugar in slowly, and that's going to make it even more fluffy and make it more stable so that when we put it onto the little desserts that we made, it'll make it firmer for that. So I'm just going to turn this on pretty high and just hope for the best. Sometimes you can go the whole time and you never get it because you got a little bit of egg yolks in there or something, but hopefully not today. You can see they're starting to get foamy now, but I still see a lot of the clearness from the egg whites. We want it to be mostly white, and then we'll go ahead and add that sugar in. It's a 1/4 cup of sugar, by the way. So if we're just taking a look at it right now, this is a little bit before what I would call soft peaks. It's kind of fluffy, looks like a cloud, but you still see some of the clearness in it. When I lift up the head of the mixer, not much of the egg whites are sticking onto it. So we're going to put it back down and go for a little bit longer. So now we're at a point where I feel like we're almost to a soft peak. As I'm lifting up, I can see that the eggs are kind of dragging up with it and then falling off. There's no mountains or anything formed. At this point, I think it's safe to go ahead and start slowly adding the sugar. If we dump it all in at once, that sugar is going to stay dry and not liquefy. So by slowly adding it, we're making sure that it comes together. So just a little bit at a time. Give it a couple of seconds to mix. A little bit more. And I can start to see it getting more firm, more solidified, which is what we're looking for. So adding a little bit more sugar until it's all incorporated. So we're about halfway there with the sugar. Just keep going. You can start to see it turning from that kind of grayish color to a more white. All the sugar's in there now. We're just going to let it work for a little bit longer. I'm just trying to see that it's white and that it's nice and fluffy and stable. And then we're pretty much ready for this dessert. Oh, wrong way. So if we turn this off now, as I lift up, you can see, I don't know if you saw that, but the meringue is slowly going up with it, and then it's kind of falling off. This is a little droopy there. I want to go a little bit longer until it's kind of holding its shape more. So I'll turn on a little bit higher, give it a couple more minutes, and we're ready to go. As I'm looking at it in here, I can see that it's not moving around as much, so I think we're probably about there. If I lift it up, it's starting to hold its shape more. It's still wobbly, but I think we're going to go ahead and call this good for today. Now, if this seems like too complicated for you, you can get some marshmallow fluff, and this will take all the effort out of it, but you got to put some effort into making this. So far, it's just brownies and ice cream. This is the thing you made. This is the thing that's going to wow them. So I'm going to scrape off all of this. Now what we should do is we're going to get this into a piping bag. You could just spread it over the top, but if you have a piping bag, why not go ahead and make it look a little bit more fancy. So with the piping bag, if you just fold over the side, you can have it so it's resting on your hand and you don't need someone's help because this is a surprise. They don't know you're cooking for them for Valentine's Day yet. So you got to keep it secret. So we're just going to scrape all this up. In the meantime, I have my oven set to 500 degrees. We're going to put ice cream in at a 500-degree oven. Yes, but as you know, we've already frozen it down a good bit, so it's not going to melt, hopefully. If we messed up, it's still going to taste delicious. So I have the meringue all in here. The next step is just to pipe it on to the little muffin ice cream things that we made. Another thing we need is a baking pan. This baking pan, you're gonna learn from experience here. Never use parchment paper. 500-degree oven parchment paper is just gonna light on fire. It's not gonna be good. First year I made this with my students, that's what happened. Use aluminum foil, have it down just as a protecting barrier. I'll lay this down right here. And we have our little treats that we made earlier. Like I said, any combination that you want is fine. You want to add more than one flavor, great. We're gonna do the hardest part here, which is flip it over and hope that it works out. I'm just gonna flip these over. Ooh, that one did not work out. That's what the plastic wrap is for. As we push it down, sometimes it doesn't work out the way you want it to. We got ice cream on top of some brownies and then ice cream in the bottom of the pans here. So we can still make this work. We'll just scoop out this ice cream, lay it on top. No one is gonna know. It's gonna get coated in meringue anyway. We're fine, okay? Maybe with this last one, I'll use the spoon to help guide it out as opposed to just trying to dump it like I did earlier. Patience is key. This last one, we'll try to do it the proper way. And this is why it's key to freeze it for a long period of time. So, we have our little desserts out. We'll separate them a little bit. And then it's time to just pipe on our meringue. Now, I'll be honest with you guys. I didn't go to school to be a baker. I went to school to be a chef, and I am not the prettiest when it comes to piping. Hopefully, I can do you guys right here. We're just gonna go around and spiral it up. Key thing is to encase the ice cream. The brownie is not gonna burn or melt or anything. We know that's good. So key thing is to get all of the ice cream covered, because this is gonna act as insulation as it bakes. It's not going to melt as quickly. So once again, just going around making sure all the ice cream is coated. When they first came up with this dish, the idea was to have like two very different flavors, or two very different textures and temperatures at the same time. When they first came up with the dish, they were gonna call it Florida Alaska, which just, it's not a good name for a dessert. So luckily, Baked Alaska, a little bit better of a name, not as confusing, definitely sounds like a dessert. So we're just gonna scoop this all on top. If you have extra, you can just use a spoon as well. This is just to make it look extra pretty. If you have extra, you don't have enough to put it on, we can just take a little bit of this filling from the bag, and just as long as it's spread on top, it's still gonna look pretty. It's the effort that counts. You put a lot of effort into this, so they're gonna love it. So now the meringue is on top of these. Maybe not the prettiest way we wanted it to be, but it's gonna be fine. We're gonna put this into the oven at 500 degrees for 5 minutes, and this is just gonna crisp up and make a little bit of brown on top. If you had a torch and you wanna torch it, you can. I make this recipe with my students, no fire allowed. So that's not an option. So we'll throw this in, and you'll see in no time we're gonna have a nice brown crust on top of it. It's best to put it on the top of the oven just so it gets a little bit more of that color. And in no time, you'll be able to see this nice little dessert. It looks fancier than it actually took to make. All right, so we're checking them, and recipes are always guidelines. It seems like my oven's working a little hotter than it's supposed to. So after about 3 minutes, these are ready. I'm gonna go ahead and pull them out so you can look at them. So after about 3 to 5 minutes, these are ready to go. What we're looking for is a little bit of brownness on top. We do want to try to not have the ice cream melt as much as it did on here, but it's still going to taste good. So we'll just take one of these out. We can put it on a plate. It still have that balance of temperatures. We should have that cold inside with the ice cream, a little bit of a warm brownie or cake, whatever you want to do, and then that meringue on top. Like I said, this is a little bit more complex way of making it. If you want to use marshmallow fluff on top of it to make it simpler, you can buy all store-bought stuff. You forgot completely about Valentine's Day, you can go right now and still make this tonight without any worries at all. So I hope you enjoy this recipe. If you make it at home, please share it with us on social media. And thank you for joining us for Passport to Flavor.